Yeah, so it's streaming live now. All right, so I think we're set now. So welcome everyone. This interview. Well, it was a meeting really between friends, and I've known AJ for quite a while, for a few years now, and I'm really grateful, to have met her at the time I did. She was one of the few people or first people, to interview me. That was last year, July, I think, around this time last year. And yeah, it was fun. I think it was on Zoom too. So yeah, everything is coming back around again. This time around, I feel I need her presence on my page. I feel I need her knowledge. As much as we're doing this interview, it's also beneficial to me as a person because I learn a lot from you. And yeah, so I think we can just dive in straight into the core of the matter. Her name is AJ Beaber, and she's an author, a public speaker, and an educator in personal growth and development, specifically for women. And what she does is to teach women how to love themselves more. But me also, myself being a part of the divine feminine, I believe we are both, we have both male and female, structures in us. So I think even though she focuses on women, I'm always on her page because I learn a lot from there. She's the founder of Ignite Your Light, Ignite the Light, and she's the executive director of a nonprofit called Red Light Love. She lives in Dallas. She's married. She lives in Dallas, Texas, with her husband and children. And she gives back to her community through the nonprofit Red Light Love. Yeah, I think that's about. And okay, yeah, you also said that the mission of the organization is to help women who have gone through sexually traumatic experiences in life, to get back on track and live a better life. And yeah. So you're welcome, AJ, and I think it's better you do this introduction. Tell us more about who you are, what you're doing, how you got here, how yeah, basically about your work and your life, summarized.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for inviting me. When you invited me to have this meeting with you, I really felt like it was an opportunity, just like you said, for us to connect and to share some really important information and modalities and being able to take care of ourselves emotionally and find that inner peace. And so for me, my story is that I was a woman who really had a lot of issues when it came to my own emotions and my own thoughts in dealing with all of that. And specifically, my issue was not trusting men. And so because I desired to be in a partnership, I wrote this book of how it is that really learning to love and trust others has nothing to do with others and outside circumstances. It really has to do with loving ourselves and trusting ourselves. And so the novel that I wrote, called You and I Inc., The Connection of Sexuality and Spirituality, was my journey of learning how to deal with those emotions and those thoughts and being able to know the difference between those two things, especially when we're in a situation where there's something that we really strongly desire, but it's not present, or we're in a situation where the things that are happening in our reality are things that we don't know how to deal with, and it could be very painful. And so being able to find peace in those situations and find the gift in it, that's where my background lies. I'm not a doctor. I am not a professional in this way, but I am someone who has experienced that pain and been able to find tools to move through it. So it's my joy to be here today and really just share a conversation with you, doctor, because I love watching your page and your inspirational messages that you post in regards to life and relationships. And I really feel like between the two of us, we'll be able to share some of the ways that we individually probably just come to those places of peace within ourselves personally, and then being able to do that in our relationships. That's what's coming to me right now.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I never. Yeah, it sounds a bit. Sometimes it just sounds. Well, it's okay. I've just gotten to accept, that I'm a doctor now. When we met, I wasn't a doctor then. Yeah, I was going through lots of anxiety. Wasn't really sure where I was going to, and it really, there's really not much change. I just know that I've been researching, I've been reading, writing, trying to heal myself along the way. That's basically what I've been doing. So I love what you said about relationships. It actually turns the meaning, on its head. The conventional meaning, what people, believe that relationships are meant to be. I deal with a lot of clients too, and most of them are looking for somebody, looking for somewhere that is safe for them to be in. They're looking for somewhere to, how do I put it, for someone to hold on to, basically. And while forgetting that they need to bring something, themselves, because everybody is broken somehow. Everybody, everyone has their own, their own shortcomings, and we all need motivation. We need inspiration. So if you haven't learned to love yourself, like you said, if you haven't learned to accept that those weaknesses, those insecurities that you're looking for where to hide them, then we need to do some kind of reassessment, because we can't hide inside any kind of relationship. It's not possible. Whatever wounds you have or problems you have is going to show up there, and it's probably going to cause problems for you there. So if you haven't dealt with it or found a way to manage it, then yeah, you're very right. The relationship is not going to be what you expect it to be. Yeah, so that's why I'm here too. I've struggled, in my own life with my own relationship with myself, and I think I was a bit I was let me say I was a bit wise, in not rushing into like having a permanent kind of relationship, like a marriage, with somebody, because I knew I was going to destroy it. Somehow I knew I was going to destroy it because I wasn't on the right path, So I just felt that I wasn't going to, and I knew that nobody was going to put up with my behavior at that time. Even I myself couldn't even accept my own behavior. So why would I expect somebody else to do that? So that's why it took me time to actually commit to somebody eventually. So I'd like you to tell us, or just give us some insights into the topic for the day. We're talking about finding balance in life. I've heard some spiritual teachers or people, talking about balance and why we don't need balance and all that. What do you think about balance and inner peace? What is balance to you?
So it's funny when you asked me to join you and talk about inner peace and balance. One of the words that I try to stay away from is balance. I actually use the word harmony in place of that because I like how there are different notes that can be played, but when something is played in harmony, then there is a sense of balance to that. Sometimes when I think of balance, I think of scales, and I know a lot of people think about that. And so if you don't have enough of something, then you don't have enough of something else. So balance to me is harmony. It's finding peace in what's going on around us. And when you talk about emotional balance, to me, that is, to me, emotion is energy. It's just energy in motion that we're experiencing. We're taking in all of the information that's around us, which are other people's thoughts, other people's emotions, right? And then we're processing that within ourselves between our own thoughts and our own emotions that we're sensing. And so a great example of not being in balance was me after I'd gone through a previous relationship and experiencing infidelity. I had that lack of trust in my relationships, right, with men. So I desired a partnership, but that was the imbalance. I had this really strong desire for a relationship, but I had this fear. I had this feeling of insecurity. I had these feelings of jealousy. I had all of these different emotions that were going on within me. Well, the way I've come to experience it is that emotion, I'm the one identifying with it. Either it's painful or it's pleasurable, but truthfully, it's energy. And when we can look at it that way, then we're the ones actually giving it meaning in our life. So for me, it was painful. So I was out of balance. Here it is. I desired to be in a relationship, but I was in so much pain because I was single and didn't trust men and didn't feel like I could move on with my life. So there wasn't balance there, if that makes sense. And to be able to come to peace with that and find balance with this inner desire, but this external different reality, was being able to look at where is it that I needed to take responsibility for the painful emotions and the painful thoughts that I was holding about men. Because I couldn't be in balance with my world physically when I wasn't even in balance with myself and aware of those things. So that's kind of my way. And again, that's harmony to me. That's that inner peace.
I was also thinking that, you know, that they have the same kind of meaning.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I mentioned balance, you know, I don't know, I'm coming from, where would I begin now? I understand harmony means working together and everything working together. Um, yeah, but I still think they're all the same thing. They're just different names from different concepts. What what I've experienced in my own life, you know, is that for every domain in our life, for everything that we do, there are two sides to it. You know, and what I've come to realize, you know, is that I have to accept, you know, that I am both sides of it. You know, I have both sides of them. I've come from fear, and I've also used some courage in my life. It doesn't mean that the fear is bad. It just means that I've not been using. I don't I haven't realized why the fear is actually there and what message fear is bringing. So if you give, you know, both sides of yourself at the right attention that they need, I don't know. I feel that's where the balance comes from. You know,
Yes.
I have. I like to talk about myself because I don't know any other person. You know, I don't really. Yeah, I can't be in any other person's mind. You know, so I have my insecurities. I have my weaknesses. I have my strengths, and I've learned to accept, you know, both sides of the equation. You know how the equation goes. You know, for the equation to be balanced, you know, there's an equal sign. So the two sides, you know, not that they have to be on the same level because they're not really the same uh, components, you know, but they have to cancel themselves out. Like there's night and there's day. is almost spread in two. You know, there's life and there's death. There's, you know, most things come in twos. If you look at our face, you know, we have two eyes. Even the mouth that we think is one, there are two lips, it's still separated. The heart, there's the left and the right. The brain, there's the left and the right brain. So that's how life is made. You know, we have good and bad. We have love and hate. You know, it's just like that. And I think everybody has an equal proportion of everything. The problem is, you know, when we try to suppress one side and, you know, and try to give and try to focus on only one side while, you know, ignoring the need of your other side, you know, it causes some kind of imbalance because you're always trying to fix something. You do not want to accept that, you know, that part of you is there. You know, if you're quick to get angry, it's okay to just get, but it's also good to be aware, you know, so that when you're getting angry, you know, you can always catch yourself in the process, you know, and deal with it there. So that was why I came up with that. And inner peace for me, you know, like you mentioned, you know, is for me it's about self-acceptance, complete self-acceptance, accepting yourself for who you are, for what you are, not for the stories that you're telling yourself, because I think that's another discussion too, because sometimes we think that we are stories that we have told ourselves over and over and over because we keep playing it back every time. And that has become our identity, our so-called identity. And it's wrong, you know, to think that you are who you have always believed you were, because you're always capable of doing more. You're capable of being better. You're limited by so many thoughts, you know, that you have believed for so many years. And yeah, so I know I can do better. I'm always trying to push out of my comfort zone, you know, so that I don't stay within a definition of myself. I like to redefine myself with time. I like to keep refining and keep having a new identity every time. So that's what we call growth, personal growth and development. And I think that's what you do too, in your coaching. So how has your, okay, let me ask you a question. This question was not on the list, you know. How has your coaching business been? What kind of feedback do you get from your clients about the coaching and personal growth? Because I really want to understand what personal growth and development means to you.
Okay, beautiful. So my coaching was born out of my book. So my book was the journey of that healing process for me, which was learning to trust myself, love myself. And then from that, I actually was able to develop tools. So it was the tools that I used in the book. And then I now created a program for women to be able to use to do the same. So the coaching modalities that I use is basically just asking questions, bringing awareness to certain areas of a person's life. And what I found is that the way I identify with it is, for me, I had this fear of infidelity. And what I found is there was an infidelity to myself. I wasn't living my own truth. I wasn't being in balance with my own emotions, even being real and truthful with my own emotions and my mind. And so in working with a client, what I'm able to do in personal growth and development is be able to take them along a process. And the first step in that process is being real with our emotions, being truthful with what we feel, because it's just energy. And so when a woman or a man can be very present to what they're feeling and be able to feel it, then that's actually being honest with ourselves in that area of our life. And then the second place is our mind. And our mind plays a huge part and what the stories, like you said, that we're telling ourselves, and what is it that we really believe is true. In self-development, those stories that I had told myself for so long, my parents ended up getting a divorce, this infidelity thing had passed down through generations. So of course I had this fear, but I wanted to break out of it because I had this really strong desire as well to love and trust my partner. And so what I recognized is that in order to love someone else, I had to, like you said earlier, be able to love myself. And it came from breaking down those stories. So that's part of the process that I do with women, is being able to get in the body, feel again, be able to recognize pain and pleasure. Because if we're blocking pain, we are also blocking pleasure. We are blocking joy. We are blocking the spectrum of that emotion. So when they can get present with the pain, they can feel it in the body, then they can go to their mind and they can ask themselves where that story is showing up and is it real? There's a process that you can go through. And my mentor was Byron Katie. I love Byron Katie. And the process of self-development and questioning our own mind, because our mind can lie to us, it can trick us. And that's why we're to take our thoughts captive. And so once a woman's done that and she can connect those two aspects of her truth, then it allows her to see where the gift is in that pain. Because I believe that pain shows up in our life just like you do, that it's there for a purpose. It's there to grow us. And that's that self-development and self-growth, because we always have desires in our heart. We're always growing, but typically there's a story that's holding us back. And it shows up and triggers in different areas of our life and our self-development. So once a woman can see that, then when she's living that truth, when she actually has actionable and measurable steps to be able to say, oh, am I living my truth? Not a truth that someone else taught me, not a lie, not something that I've been believing because I think it's true, but really getting clear with her truth, then she can look in the mirror and like what she sees. Because that's how we create that self-love. We have to first trust ourselves. And typically what I find is the greatest infidelity is to the self. And then once a woman is doing that and very cognizant of her truth, living her truth, then you can go out and experience the masculine and feminine energy out in the world. But it's something that we all hold within us first. And so that's kind of the process that I use that really follows the book that I wrote, but it's intimacy. It's like the deepest form of intimacy and vulnerability that we can have as humans is having that relationship with ourselves first. And that's not always easy because, like I said, we're getting information bombarded at us at all times from outside of us. And then we go in to process it internally. And for me, it was crazy making because I wasn't right in this relationship first. So I was blaming all of my outside circumstances. I was a victim to my outside circumstances, where now I believe personal self-growth and development is being able to take that responsibility, see where it is that we're the ones who have to grow and change in our mindset or in our actions, and then be able to see the results. And that's how we grow.
Thanks. Yeah, you broke it down very well. Okay, so now I want us to come to to the real times, to where we are now in this coronavirus. It's not something I haven't spoken about this ever on video. I don't think I've even written anything about it. So I really don't like to get involved with the whole politics and everything about it. But there's one undeniable fact, that our lives have been changed. Basically, for the past, I don't know, since February or so. Yeah, since January, February, everybody in the world has been affected one way or the other. How will I put it? The pandemic it's not just about the coronavirus or not, it has affected our way of living, and it has affected, most people's mental health. It has affected everything. Like, it shut down the whole economy, the whole world is shut down. And we're just trying to come out. Nobody even knows the long-term impacts or effects that this pandemic is going to cause. So considering what people, what a lot of people are going through, I've been reading lots of things on social media. For me, I'll say I'm lucky, that that this pandemic came at the time it did. I won't say I'm that much affected because I've never really been okay. Yeah, at the point in my life when it came through, I wasn't even going out at that time. So the lockdown really made no meaning because I've always been in lockdown. And I didn't have a job, so I didn't lose a job. I don't. So yeah. So for me, it's just been like like my life has been normal or even better in a way. But I know that majority of people have been impacted. People that have lost their jobs, people that have lost their loved ones, people that I don't know, that have been affected in one way or the other. Like your normal way of living and stuff. People had their routines, and they're not able to get into those routines again. Your house is going to be full somehow. You now have to face your partner, your children every day and every single minute of the day. So I know it's really not it's not normal for everybody. So how do you think we can manage to keep that balance that we've talked about and inner peace in this chaotic situation now in the world?
Well, my belief is we have to accept it first, right? Surrender to what we can't control, those pieces of it, set boundaries around our own inner peace. So it's good right now for couples to set boundaries for themselves. If you start to take, because that energy, that emotion and communication that's happening in relationships that could be causing a lack of inner peace or a lack of balance, we got to take responsibility for that for ourselves first. And it can come from outside of us, but if we turn the TV off, if we allow ourselves, give ourselves that time to wake up in the morning and journal or do whatever is right for you to be able to come into balance with your own emotions and your own thoughts, to be very present to that before you can even express it to a loved one. So one of the things that my husband and I do is if we're in a place where things are just chaotic, I'll say, you know what? I just need a timeout, or I need a break. I need to go process something. Rather than taking it out on each other, it's not the other person causing it. It's an overload of information. And I believe when we came into 2020 that we were entering in to the more divine feminine, like you were talking about, which means there's subtle energies being passed at this time that are coming across as emotional energy. And a lot of people aren't used to figuring out what's going in the mind and processing what's going on in the body. It's a lot to take in. And so rather than blaming one another for those triggers, just saying, hey, I'm feeling triggered right now. I really need to deal with this and come to terms with this. And I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt the kids. I don't want to say something, that can be destructive. I just want to be in a space of love. We're on a team. Let's support one another. What time do you need? How can I support you? And just be more team oriented and tribe oriented right now, because we are being drawn into these places for a reason.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What you just said about teamwork, it's really, it's really important, in these times. We are social animals, so that's why I keep talking about that balance again.
Yeah,
there needs to be a balance between the teamwork and the solo individual alone time. You know,
Yes.
we need to understand when to give people space and when not to. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I'll give you a
right.
great example. I'll give you a
Okay.
life example so that someone can really wrap their mind around it. One of my clients had been in a marriage for 40 years, and there was infidelity in that marriage. And so she was looking at her ex-spouse, who had then was with another woman at the time, and she decided to get a divorce. But she was angry, and she had to be around this person, and it just angered her and fueled her and just like enraged her, right? This is the consciousness that she's holding about another individual. Who's it hurting? It's hurting her. She's the one with these horrible thoughts about the other individual, these awful emotions that come along with it. And so the way she was able to deal with it is she said, okay, her biggest limiting mindset, her story around it was, he abandoned me and chose another woman to replace me. So if anybody can think about whatever story is causing them pain around another individual that they may have to be in close quarters with, and once you identify that, hers was, he abandoned me and he chose another woman to replace me. Well, every time she said that, he went on in his life. He did his daily things, right? It was her that, when she believed that that story was true, was a part of, recognized it, and then she got really present with her thoughts. And every time that thought came along, she would say, no, I am not abandoning myself. And she set priorities. She started going to the gym because she had gained a bunch of weight during this time. Like, certain emotions can do crazy things to our body and our mind and our health. And for her, she just got very present and was able to focus on what she could do to not hold that consciousness about the other individual, knowing that that thought was actually something that she was manifesting by thinking about, he's abandoning me. Oh no, wait a second. I'm abandoning myself. So same thing. I don't trust men, projecting it outward. Wait a second. I don't trust myself. And so by owning those pieces, it allows us to be better in our relationships, because then we have something to bring and give versus try and receive from somebody else. There's a difference.
Yeah, that really brings it home, you know. Yeah, there are some deeper questions, you know. I don't know if you would be, you know, but I don't know. Somehow I just feel that why we're here in this life is really to build ourselves um, individually. Yes, we can choose to raise a family or not. Um, those are choices that we make. Those are conscious choices that we make. You can never really know who another person is. You can't know fully what somebody's thinking in their own mind. And it's not for a lack of trying, you know, because even the other person really doesn't even know themselves fully. We don't know ourselves that well. We don't know what, like, yeah, we know quite a bit, but we don't know everything about ourselves. So, so it doesn't even sound, you know, realistic, you know, to expect to know somebody else. If you ask people that live with me, you know, if I was going to be making videos now, they would never believe you. I mean, me, you know, they would be like, you know, yeah, no, this wasn't the person I knew, you know, then. And even myself too, I still find some things I do, you know, that I never believed I could do, or that I have the courage to do. So I'm a strong believer, you know, in going inwards, um, in focusing, you know, on my own strengths and on my ability, in my ability, you know, to realize my own perceived potential. And I believe, like, by doing that, like you said earlier, by doing that, we'll have a stronger relationship with people. on the external, because we can feel, what other people are going through, or or what they need to be going through. We can sense already, through somebody's behavior, what what they're going to do. I don't know how to explain it. We can predict some things because we have lived it already. And I know this because when I write some things on Facebook, I'm writing them to myself. Most of those messages I just write to myself. I'm not really talking to anybody, And the responses I get, is like everybody, the collective, we're all thinking the same kind of thing. So and it's because I've done that inner work, that I'm able to come up with those raw truths about myself. And it's really strange. It's funny how a lot of other people, recognize that same truth that we're talking about. Yeah. So there's a connectedness between us and the external. And
right.
It's easier for us to live with people and to collaborate, with people easily, when we've done some level of inner work in ourselves. So the question I want to ask now, you already answered it about this coronavirus and the events that are happening now. So what tools, what techniques do you use, at home? Like, for me personally, I decided a long time ago that I was going to make sure that any information I get, I try to verify that information, the best I can. I know lots of people are just used to just get one and they start sharing message. I know it's still difficult to know where to verify it. How do I check and know if this thing is true or not? We have to take one side or the other. I've learned to hold competing. That's part of the balance I was talking about. I've learned to hold competing beliefs in my mind at the same time. I really don't like, as much as we are looking for evidence that there is a coronavirus, some other people are saying that that it was that it's not a pandemic, like they call it, that is a program or so, that there's an ulterior motive behind it. We don't really know we don't know who is saying the truth and who is not. But like I said, we're all affected by it, by whatever is happening. And with time, we're going to know what's happening. So what's your daily routine like? Not to go so private, but how do you manage the whole scaremongering? Because I know very soon people are going to start going back to work, and I know there's a fear around meeting people and going back to the office, maybe going to the gym or something. Nobody's going to want to touch another person. We're not going to be shaking hands for a while. So there's all that fear and scare around. How are you dealing with it?
So the way I'm dealing with it is I'm actually not listening to a lot of the outer chatter. The way I look at it is our thoughts and our emotions are shared, right? You can have a thought of fear and whatever. And so that's really heightened right now on a collective level with what's going around. So in order to not be a part of that and add to that collective experience of fear and scarcity and all of those thoughts, I really keep check of where my mind's at so that I'm putting out a different thought process out into this world. And I feel like if most people would do that and take that self-responsibility to be able to deal with what's out there, and like I said, the first step is accepting it. Yes, there's a lot of uncertainty. yes, it feels to me like there's deception. I don't know what that means, but I feel it. And I know a lot of people feel that on many levels right now. So, because I've experienced that in other areas of my life, if someone can take it back to maybe an experience where they've had uncertainty in their life before, or fear, or all of those types of things, then how did you handle it in those experiences? This is just on a more mass level where we're all aware of it. So the first thing I do is, because it's a mass level, I turn off the TV and I don't really spend a lot of time focused on that. My partner does, but it doesn't really affect him. So I don't judge him for doing that and wanting to listen to that. That helps him. It doesn't help me. So for myself, I just shut it off and I focus on where my thought patterns, what am I creating in my life? Because we are all powerful creators. And then keeping that accountability. And that's how I've been able to do it. Journaling a lot, being very present with my emotions. And if I do, because there have been times where I did feel it, like it came on so strong because I had been watching the news or because I had read somebody's post or something, and I allowed myself to feel it. I allowed myself to get angry. I allowed myself to hit a pillow. I allowed myself to cry. I believe that by being honest with our emotions, is part of being honest with ourselves. And once it processed through, to me, what I was taught is those emotions are like a pendulum. We feel it to its very height so that it can swing back and we can feel just more in balance, more in peace. It's when we're resisting it that it's the hardest to deal with. So my first thing would be to really know your boundaries and what it is that helps you be able to process that really, really high sense of fear and everything that's out there right now.
Okay, yeah, just to round up, yeah, I'll be grateful if you could just show us your book and tell us
Oh yeah,
maybe how people could get the book. Sorry,
sure.
I didn't get my own copy. I haven't got my copy.
That's okay. It's called You and I Inc. I don't know if you can see it there, if it's the lights on there. You and I Inc. And what it is, it's a novel. It's my story of how it is that my thoughts were really painful. And the way I express it is through metaphor. So it's a ghost that's attached to me. And if we think of our thoughts are not our own, and they may be passed down through generations, like this thought of I don't trust men, and then how it is I was able to separate from that energy. So that's what the whole story is about. It's about a woman who doesn't trust men coming to learn to love and trust herself. But you could put any fear, you could put any limiting belief as that ghost that could be attached. And the process of detaching from it is what I share.
Okay.
And the work that I do.
Does it link in any way to your charity? No, we'll put the link to your book. It's on Amazon, right? And
yeah,
other
it's
places,
on Amazon. Yeah, you can buy it on my website, on Amazon,
or your website.
on Barnes and
Okay,
Noble.
we'll put the link there. Then what was I going to ask? Your charity work is linked to has some connection with the book.
Yes. So the nonprofit came from the book, which is Red Light Love, which is all about really helping women who have been wounded in that area of sexuality. The book is called The Connection of Sexuality and Spirituality, and it deals very much with that intimacy that we deal with as women. And there's a rape scene in the book that's pretty graphic. And when a woman has been through that kind of trauma to her body, a lot of times she shuts down emotionally. That's what I did. There were times when I was younger and this happened to me in sexual assault that I shut down emotionally. I didn't want to cry. I didn't want to express those really darker emotions because I didn't know if I'd come back from them. And just in a nutshell, basically my nonprofit was meant to be able to reach these women who might be in those types of experiences where they don't trust, they aren't being vulnerable, they aren't being intimate in their relationships. And there's a lot of women that can't afford the kind of work that I do. And so I donate my resources through the charity to my community, to different events, to other women.
You know what I found out? I just found out that I've been asking you the wrong questions. I think I'm going to have to buy your book and read it and really Yeah, and next time we're going to have to do this again. We will need to discuss sexuality and the divine feminine energy. And yeah, it's really something that's it's been, how do I put it? It has been resurrected again.
Yes.
This, not this century, and yeah, part of the late 20th century and most of this 21st century has been about, bringing back the female energy back to back to governance, back to politics, back to everything. The women have been suppressed, for so long, and it's really it's something we need to really delve into. And
I would
yeah, I can
love
see
to.
that
That's my
that's where
specialty.
your light really is. Yeah. So sorry
Yes.
for taking you to my own line of questioning.
No, I enjoyed it so much, and it was so beautiful just to even just start there, because I think that's what's on a lot of people's hearts and minds, is how do they find balance in that space. And then it's really figuring out what's real. So like in the book, when she's attached to the ghost, she's trying to figure out what's real. There's this metaphysical world going on around her that feels very real. And that's what it feels like when you're in a place of fear, when you're in a place of bondage, when you're in a place of jealousy, when you're in these just really painful emotions, because you don't know what's real. And right now, I think that's where a lot of people are at, where they don't know what's real. But the only way I believe we're going to make it through as a society is for us individually to get very clear in our own conscious and put out that vibe of love and unity and peace, but we got to feel it within first. And so one of the things I do believe with nonprofits and organizations is, because when we're involved in something that has a cause, it's real, it's tangible, we feel like we're doing something, so we're living in our truth, versus when we're just getting bombarded with information, we're not really living what it is that we believe. So when we can get involved in organizations, whatever that might be for someone, that really gives us a good, like I said, measurable result that we're taking action in our lives. So that's something I would encourage as well.
Yeah, that's something that's something that's come to mind, very recently. I put it in different words, and I call it values in practice, practicing your values. So
Yes.
that not profit is it's an opportunity, even though we have the opportunity every day, every decision we take, to practice our values. Every decision we make, it's a choice between our values or or not following our values. And I know that there are some decisions that are small, that are not really. Let's say you wake up in the morning, you have to do some exercise or something, and you fail to do it. Yeah, it doesn't have the same the same impact as in, let's say you're faced with a choice that might damage your reputation or something, or you're put in a tight corner, basically, where you have to choose between doing something that will be favorable to you in the short term and might be damaging in the long term, and you don't know how to what kind of decision will you make. That's when you're really tested, in your character. And most times we tend to go for the short-term fix. That's yeah. So and in the long term, it has some detrimental effects. And yeah, so I've seen. I'm also trying to launch my own nonprofit, and I'll be consulting you. I hope you won't charge me any consultation fees or something, right?
What is your nonprofit called?
I'm calling it Library Builders.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So I want to build some libraries in the most deprived areas of the world.
Wow.
And yeah, so just something small, sustainable, get some books, computers there, and hand it over to the community. Yeah, it's been taking up a lot of my time. I've been trying to put my team together and trying to come up with a vision, a mission, a plan. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
blessings to you on that, because that really is giving back to our community. And it feels so good to be in a place of contribution. I feel like that's really what breaks us through that balance too. Like, I had so much pain in this area, but now I'm able to give back. So talk about balance. And for you, library, and I know a little bit of your story growing up and the speaking and all of the learning and all of those things, a little bit of your story. I'm sure that libraries are really important to you.
yeah, I think I've lived in libraries in the library for the past 8 years since I've been in the UK. Since I've been in Glasgow, I've not gone out. I've been stuck inside the library from 2012 to 2020. So I know the benefit. I know what goes on there. I know the spirit of the library. I know what it means because I've lived there for 8 years.
Wow.
I stayed there most of the midnights. I go there in the night, maybe like from 10, 11, 12, and I stay till morning. Like I actually live there. So I'm a library basically. So that's why, and it's great. You wrote your book from from your life experience,
Yes.
and you're doing your nonprofit. Also from something that's passionate to you. And everybody goes through their own unique path, and we need everybody to come out authentically and
Yes.
share, yeah, and just share yourself basically. Help somebody else through through whatever you've experienced. Yeah. So before we conclude, then how can our viewers find you online?
I'm on all the different social media platforms. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. What else is out there? I also have my website, which is ajbeaber.com. And the spelling, I think, is in my name that's connected to this video. And yeah, any way you can connect with me through Messenger. You can reach out any way that's comfortable for someone.
All right. Like I said, I'm going to get your book and I'm going to read your mind. And I feel I think I'm owing you a real discussion about your own deepest truths. And yeah, that's what we're going to discuss next time. Thanks
That would be
for
beautiful.
yeah, thanks for sharing with us. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with us. Thanks for sharing your wisdom. And if you add her as a friend or follow her on Facebook. I know you used to do the weekly videos. I don't know if you still do them again, but I think it was every
Yes,
Thursday or something.
I did. I used to do Thursday night thoughts for a period of almost 4 years.
Yeah, I know.
So I've been doing that. I took a break from it for a while, and quite honestly, I'm in a period of transition. So something's coming, and I'll continue to do those Thursday night thoughts for
Yeah,
sure.
no, there are lots of videos there. So if you go there, you're going to see a lot. If you go to the YouTube channel, there's quite some
Yes.
videos there too to watch. And yeah, we can connect and collaborate. So thank you. Thank you for joining
Thank
me today.
you.
And yeah, it's been a really great time. So yeah, I think we're done. And see you
Thank you,
later.
Uchenna. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.